chairmanship, sir. Thank you. Is there anything that President Biden could propose as it relates to the border in the realm of reasonable possibility that he would propose that you all could go along with?
Well, certainly, if he's willing to propose that we can fix the hiring processes of Customs and Border Patrol, if he's willing to advance the technology necessary to secure the border, and I'm not necessarily talking about at the crossing sites because I disagree with your last guest, the fentanyl, and I've seen it. I've been to the border and I've seen where, the mules bring the fentanyl across in backpacks and they're in camouflage wearing carpet shoes. And it's all a strategy by the cartels. They're basically flooding the crossing sites with mass waves of people, neutralizing CBP to go and process those folks. They have to thin the lines in the rural areas. The fentanyl's pouring in. And the proof of that is during COVID, when we closed the crossing sites, fentanyl continued to come into the country at an even higher rate than before. So absolutely, we have to secure the border. We can do that with technology. The left tends to want to be okay with spending on drones, on cameras, and on fiber optics. So if they're willing to do that, we'll agree with that.
All right. I think about the issue of the border. It's one I know that is near and dear to your heart. It's one Republicans ran on in 2022. Credit where credit's due. Republicans took back the House, but by an extraordinarily small margin. Didn't win the Senate. President Biden has the same record to talk about tonight that had him as one of the most successful Democratic midterm presidents in modern history. For whatever Republicans are talking about the border and the economy and the other issues you disagree with President Biden on, the voters have not yet given you any credit for it.
Yeah, this was a unique election. You had a ruling last summer that fired up their base, got a lot of people out to the polls from their side in a not a presidential election year. You also had the Republicans, though, win 5 million extra votes. We hardly ever do that. When we win the presidency, it's often through the Electoral College. But last election, we won 5 million more votes nationwide, and that doesn't bode well for the president. Now, individual races, we can dig into those if you want, but honestly, I think that's a statement against the president.
How, from a perspective of your caucus, will you all take the message, quote, of unity from the president? Is it possible to come and have unity with people that you labeled as ultra MAGA and threats to democracy?
It's going to be very difficult for the president to do that, but I think there are members in Congress that are working to fix that. As you may know, I started an organization, I call it the Reagan O'Neill Club, and I invite Democrats and Republicans to come, and we don't talk about policy. We just focus on getting to know one another. I believe we can start with relationship, like Reagan and O'Neill had, and then work from there to get to the issues. But it's going to take relationship to do that. Right now, the two sides are so far apart, it's almost impossible to have a dialogue. So there are initiatives like mine and working with Haley Stevens, the Democrat who leads the O'Neill side of our club. We can do some things inside the Congress. I do not think, after calling all of us extremists, insurrectionists, because we, voted a certain way, which, by the way, a lot of Democrats have done in the past, is gonna result in some, kumbaya with Joe Biden.
Yeah, the president's going to say that our democracy is bruised. I'll give you 30 seconds. Would you agree?
No, not at all. I mean, look at the process that happened, for us to select a speaker. We went in there and it was democracy. They say democracy is a lot like sausage making. It's ugly in the process, but when you get a good result, that's democracy working. The other side, they just fall in line like robots with their speaker. We're not like that. Republicans had a debate, we had a discussion, and we came to an agreement, and we elected a speaker, and now we're off to the races with a conservative commitment to America.
Yeah, I think it was Churchill who also said democracy is the worst form of government until you examine all the other ones. Congressman, it's good to see you, sir. Thank you as always.
Good to see you, Leland.